Good day, folks. This is Greg Judy at Green Pastures Farm, and today I am highlighting a mistake that we made. And I get tickled when people say, well, everything just goes hunky-dory at Green Pastures Farm. Well, sometimes it doesn't. I took the advice of a water expert for a pipe, and we're actually putting in a line here to our Airbnb, replacing this line, actually getting a new meter. And anyway, I called the water company that we bought the pipe from and told them what I had and the footage. I said, we got 600 feet from the meter to the house, and really no hills. I mean, a little hill here, but that's, you know, it's up and down, so they almost even each other out. And oh, he said, you know, use that blue poly, you know, 2 300-foot rolls, and you only got one seam, and that seam, of course, is a brass fitting, a brass coupler. I'm like, really? Are you sure that 3/4 is gonna be enough to run pressure to our Airbnb? Oh gosh, Greg, you'll have tons of pressure. I said, well, I've got 3 hydrants on it too. No, he said, you're not gonna have them all at the same time. I'm like, well, no. He said, you got tons of pressure. And this water meter up here's got about 80 PSI coming out of it, 80 to 90 PSI. So we hooked it up. Man, we had pressure. Blew all the air out. Got the air out of the faucets in the house and the hydrants outside, and we shut everything off to make sure our fittings held good and there wasn't any leaks. And so we shut the meter off and we backfilled it. This all happened right at dark. And the next morning, we brought cows in here, hooked up the tank, and the water was coming out kind of tepidly slow. And I'm like, what is going on? And so I thought, well, we must have some air. We must have not gotten all the air out of the line. So we turned on all the hydrants and played around with that for half a day, pushing, and we found a little air, but not much. And the pressure kind of came back, real good for about 30 seconds. And then after you left the hydrant on for 30 seconds, your pressure just went down to a very tepid flow, not enough to support a herd of cattle, or even take a shower in that house up there. And so I called the water meter, the water company where we get our water from. I told him what we'd done. He came out and pulled that meter over there and said, Greg, you have got tons of pressure. It's on your side. What did you do? Well, I told him. I said, well, I ran 600 feet based on the recommendations from the pipe manufacturer where we got our pipe from. Oh, he said, no. He said, never, ever, ever run 3/4 more than 300 feet. And he said, if it was mine, he said, I'd just do 1.5 inches and be done with it. Well, long story short, we're redoing it. See that blue pipe up on the top of the dirt over there? Well, Johnny's digging it out as he's coming this way. See, I trenched this in. I went and rented a trencher attachment that went on a skid steer. Well, I thought I got by pretty cheap with the trenching part. Everything was good. We backfilled it. We brought the cattle in here, and they did a wonderful job. I mean, that's where the trencher's at. Look at that. You can't hardly tell where it's at. And them cattle just beat that down perfectly for us. Well, it's not perfect anymore. We're gonna have another trench now, but we're putting it right on top of where the other trench was. So I'm basically not killing much more grass. My trencher attachment was 4 inches wide. Johnny's is 12 inches. That's the smallest bucket he's got, and I said, that's good enough. And he's going faster. This ground is hard, folks. And I'm having him go down another 8 inches deeper than I could. So he's putting it at 30 inches. I couldn't get it any deeper than 24. I'm like, you know what? You got that mini hoe. Let's make sure we can get her down there. So he stuck it down. It's down 30 inches. And yeah, we're good. boys are putting the primer on. They've already hooked on to our water line. I'll go up and show you what that looks like. I just went with 2-inch. Already had a bunch. I had 400 feet stored over in a barn that we were using on ponds. Well, now that we're using rock skirts, I'm not putting the pipe through the pond dam anymore. If we build any more new ones, I'm using rock skirts. I like them better. They hold up good, and you don't have to worry with the tire tank. So Isaac's cleaning the pipe off with the wet rag. The boys are coming along and priming it. And then get the glue right here. Actually gluing it. So it works pretty good, folks, if you'll put together about 100 feet of it and let it cure up here in the grass. And put your shovel up here. Then grab that, glue it, glue that in. You always put glue on both ends. This end that's been primered and this end. And when you run it all the way in, you push it in all the way till it hits into that bell. Then you twist it. You give it about half a twist. And matter of fact, Jackson's getting ready to glue one right here. I keep the wind out of the camera. I'm going backwards, keeping the wind down.
You already get the inside of your
yeah. The most important thing is when you glue, always put the lid on. There's 50,000 times more glue has been went out on the ground than on pipe. I've done it myself. Set it on uneven ground and it just spilled. So that was already twisted together, and you came up with a little little bridge there, Stan. That's good. Absolutely, I like it. That's the young guys, young folks. They just come up with stuff that you don't have to tell them. Good ones do. Anyway, I was going to show you where we hooked on the meter. That's where I was going. So we're not going to backfill this until we hook on all the way to the house. And I've got a quick coupler up there that I'm putting in, where sometimes we park campers where they can just hook onto that quick coupler, and they don't have to run a garden hose over to our hydrant. Anyway, this is the fitting. I'll get down in the trench and I'll show it to you. So this is what the water company gave us. So we're only going about 9 feet, and we went into this. This is a brass compression fitting. Okay. There's a trick to putting those on, folks. And if I got one, I'll show it to you. This is a steel. That's steel. And so this has got male threads sticking on this end of it, and this has got female on this steel piece. This is going from 3/4 up to 2-inch. And folks, when you make that conversion right here, get Schedule 80. It's only another $1, maybe $2, but that is one heavy duty fitting. If you get a Schedule 40, just more chance that it might break someday in the future. But this has got, we can see it's got threads on it, and this is a female. This has got female threads. Male to female. Male steel to female steel 3/4. Now let me go show you how this brass fitting goes onto that pipe. This is where people can mess up. And I gotta hand this to Johnny. Well, it's up here in this mule. Johnny asked the other day, he said, did you put any stiffeners in those brass fittings to go into that pipe? I'm like, what? Yeah, Greg, there's a stiffener that goes inside that blue poly. If you don't put that on there, you'll crush the blue poly. So I want to show you these. And I apologize about the wind, it's just the way it is. Okay, here it is, right there. So this, let's find a piece of poly. Here we go. So this goes down inside there, and it goes all the way up flush to there, okay? Once you get this in, then find that piece we cut off. Where is it? Here it is. There's what I cut off this morning. That was our original coupling coming off of that meter over there. Folks, it's not enough flow. It's not enough flow. There's just not enough flow in there. But anyway, when you tighten this down and you tighten this nut down on this poly, if you don't have that stiffener in it, it can crush this pipe. Now you got restriction. And the water trying to get through that coupler, well, you'll get some water through it, but you're not going to get a full flow. So I'm going to save this. There's nothing wrong with this coupler. And these brass couplers are expensive. I mean, this one, you're probably looking at 35 bucks right there. So we're gonna keep it in case we ever need a coupling. But so you push it over there, that steel piece I showed you, the stiffener, this goes over the stiffener, then you tighten this nut down where my thumb's at. Then the last thing you do, folks, don't forget this step. See that nut? Put a socket on that and tighten this up to where there's no gap between those seams right here, right there. There's no gap there. If you can see a gap coming across right there, you don't have it tight enough. And do it slowly. Don't tighten that thing down real fast, because you could crack this. This is brass. But when you tighten that nut down, it puts the teeth of this on that pipe. It can't pull out. It just can't. So, yeah. I can't wait to blow the air out of this puppy and get some water pressure. It's aggravating, you know. But I made a mistake. I listened to the professional, one professional, and I should have called the water line company. They deal with water lines every day. And I called the manufacturer of this pipe. They sell it, and oh gosh, Greg, you're plenty good. Well, I wasn't plenty good. I wasn't plenty good at all. So I wasted, well, this little mistake cost me, it was 83 cents a foot for that, 600 feet, 6 times 8, $480. $480 plus the brass fittings. So, you know, basically 3 brass fittings at $30, there's another 90. Yeah, you get the drift. But we're fixing it. We're fixing it. We're not going to leave a very small flow and have to live with that the rest of our life. I'm not doing it. I'm going to get it right and be done with it. Johnny's awesome. I called him this morning, and just such a wonderful guy. Johnny had a very traumatic event in his life, and he lost his wife, gosh, was it 2 months ago? And you know, prayers and thoughts with Johnny. It's a very tough time for him. He's healing, but my gosh, I just can't imagine that, you know, the pain of losing your significant other. And but you know what, Johnny's he's a strong guy. He's got good conviction, and he's coming through it, and he's going to be fine. And just lucky to have Johnny as a friend, somebody we can count on when we need help with trenching or dozing or brush clearing or pond building. He's a good one. Folks, I'm going to get out of here, and y'all have a good one. We'll see you next time. Hit that subscribe button on the way out. Oh, and if you're looking for some sheep, we still got some really nice St. Croix sheep. Click on our website, greenpasturesfarm.net. You can find out more about them. Have a good one.